I actually think the word perfection needs to be changed to pure fiction. It doesn't exist.
We live in a world that places an absolute premium on the idea of perfectionism. So I ask you, what is the cost that we're paying by thinking that if we get the perfect life, that we'll actually be happy?
Oh, that is such a good question. I think that our idea of what the perfect life is flawed. So it's not necessarily the semantics and the word. I know that I always thought that in order to have a perfect life, you achieve happiness. And that means that you only bask in sort of happy emotions, right? You're joyful, you express gratitude, you're playful, positive emotions. And so I would regularly quash anything negative. I would run from it, I would run away from it, no negativity, right? That doesn't mean that I have a perfect life. And in doing that, you don't live a whole life, right? And you also create anxiety, frankly, about all your anxieties, right? Because you just don't, they're all bubbling under the surface, but you don't want them to come up. So the cost is very high, right? And I think we teach it to our children. I think we teach them, listen, don't cry, you have to be happy. Don't feel bad because feeling bad is bad. I think that's what needs to change. I think that these are all natural parts of life. I think we let them rise within us, we acknowledge them, we understand their purpose, and that's perfect because that's human. We allow ourselves to be a little more human.
I actually think the word perfection needs to be changed to pure fiction. It doesn't exist. And there's this really wonderful concept that I embrace called wabi-sabi. So when you're practicing wabi-sabi love, what you're doing is seeking to find the beauty and perfection in yourself, in your mate, and in everybody around you. And it's really not that hard to do. You just have to let go of how you think things should be or are supposed to be, because you're never going to be perfect, I'm never going to be perfect. But if you can lighten up and find the humor in our strangeness and our quirkiness and our imperfections, you can have a lot more fun.
And becoming curious is part of that, because you just ask questions, you're learning, you're curious about the other person, and it deepens things. And when you have that from both sides, it's what we call mutuality. I want to learn more about you. Why do you think that? Where did that come from? How is that happening? As opposed to, here's my standards and here's my checklist and you don't make the cut. You know, that's a really harsh way to live. And we seem to think that there are degrees of perfection, and there aren't. I mean, perfect is perfect, and that's way too harsh because none of us are going to make it for more than a nanosecond.
When I usually ask people, when they say I want perfect mate or I want to be perfect or perfect life, and I usually ask, tell me, define what perfect is. And usually if they define it, then it's a goal that they have, so we change the name when that's a goal you have, go get it. Usually when people are perfectionist and they want something, is the anxiety underneath, which no matter what their goal is, they're never going to feel good about it. It's just not good enough. So that's what perfectionism is. So when you're looking at wanting your mate, if you're putting up and setting up this never achievable good enough person, and you're never good enough to even be that or even mate that person, you figured out who that person is, then there is never going to be a perfect for you or another person.
You know, there was a study done a few years ago at the University of Buffalo where they looked at couples who consciously wear rose-colored glasses. And what they discovered is the couples who wear rose-colored glasses have happier, longer, more satisfying relationships. And the reason for it is because they're always looking for what's right instead of looking for what's wrong.
And you know, there's another study done that shows that people are more likely to look for conflict than they are for mutuality in their partner. They will look for places that are not working, that are problematic, as opposed to looking at the places that are working and what they're finding joy in, which is a very human thing to do.
It's very human. I think we have something called a negativity bias where, you know, the negative things weigh 3 to 5 times more heavily than the positive things. So it's so easy to seek them out. And I actually, on Go Zen, I work with children who suffer from anxiety, and we have an activity called What's Right with This Picture. And all they have to do the entire day is look around in people, places, or things and find the things that are going right. And you'd be surprised if you did that even for 10 minutes, how it changes your perspective.
So I'm going to go with the answer to this question is what Arielle said. Perfection is pure fiction. Look it up, let it go, and move on with your life.